All right, so this was a big week in fantasy football, and we had to talk about it. So during my last Twitch stream, we basically did a rundown of the biggest fantasy headlines of the week, including Davante Adams being out for COVID and what that means, JaMarr Chase and Cooper Kupp continuing to remind everybody that they are our collective fathers. Then you've got the Mark Ingram trade, you've got Jalen Hurts kind of scaring me a little bit, and you've got whatever the hell the Bears wide receivers are doing. Oh yeah, and Uzomah, he's like a thing, I guess. But anyway, let's get into it. Here's my breakdown of this week's biggest fantasy storylines, and you can tune in on Twitch live every Tuesday night for a very similar breakdown each week. Hope you guys enjoy the video. Talk to you soon. Davante Adams is out for week 8. Now, he's looking like he's probably going to be back for week 9, all things considered. What do you do? Is Randall Cobb viable? Is Marquez Valdes-Scantling viable? Is Robert Tonyan viable? My answer is all of them to a degree are. I'm very disappointed that Allen Lazard is also on the COVID list and unvaccinated, so may miss even beyond this week. But as far as direct replacements for Davante Adams, I would say Randall Cobb is probably the safer guy in like PPR formats. But if there was ever a week for Marquez Valdes-Scantling to actually get a touchdown and do something, it's this week. So I don't mind him as a play either in your flex. Well, ideally, you're not putting him literally in your flex because that's Fantasy Football 101. Don't start Thursday nighters in your flex because it gives you less flexibility if one of your other starters gets hurt. So throw him in your wide receiver spot. And then Tonyan, I don't mind as a dart throw tight end play. So that's what I feel about that. Then we have, get that out of here. The other big news of today. See, you guys like this? You like the little... What over here? Little graphics we got over here. Mark Ingram got traded to the Saints. So this is a big deal because it potentially revives the fantasy value of David Johnson and Phillip Lindsay. Oh, get this out of frame. David Johnson and Phillip Lindsay become guys that are worth starting or worth picking up. Not starting yet necessarily, but Mark Ingram was leading the Texans in carries. So those touches are now vacated. They're going to go to somebody. It could go to Johnson. It could go to Lindsay. The biggest part of this is that Tyrod Taylor's coming back. So this offense in general is about to get a lot better. There's going to be more scoring opportunities. Don't overthink it and be like, oh, Tyrod Taylor's a running quarterback, so, there's not going to be as much rushing opportunity as there was. No. Offense is going to be better, more touches, more first downs means just more offense overall, and Tyrod Taylor is going to make this offense better. I would say pick up David Johnson or Phillip Lindsay, or, probably not both. You probably don't have the bench depth for that, but one of them will be relevant, if not both. As far as Mark Ingram goes, his value is pretty much sapped at this point. Yes, he's going to a better offense, but he's just going to be the clear number 2 behind Alvin Kamara. This is not the same Mark Ingram that was in New Orleans the first time around that popped off. So that's what I got to say about that. Next big storyline. These two. What is there even to say about JaMarr Chase and Cooper Kupp? Oh, excuse me. I didn't put the text up over them. Yeah, that's pretty much what I have to say. WTF with Cooper Kupp and JaMarr Chase. Because there's no words. There's no words for what these two have been doing. JaMarr Chase just put up 200 yards as a rookie. Caleb, thank you for the sub, bro. Welcome to the bench mob, my brother. There's no words for what these two have been doing. 200 yards out of a rookie. And then Cooper Kupp. Guys, Cooper Kupp is literally on pace to break the all-time fantasy point record by a lot. Like, not by a little. He's on pace for, I believe it was 462 points in full PPR. The record is Randy Moss in 2007, who had 385. Now, is Cooper going to break it by that much? No. Could he break it, though? I think so. I don't know, man. There's people that are saying sell high on Cooper Kupp, and I get it. Like, is he going to keep up this exact pace? No. But is he going to keep up a pace enough to be the number 1 receiver in fantasy? I could see it, man. I don't see why not. What's up, Dave? Thank you for coming over, man. And, guys, thank you for the follows. Got to get that. And Draco playing. What is up, fellas? All right, next up on our docket of storylines from this week, Allen Robinson, and by extension, Darnell Mooney. What do we do with these guys? Listen, if you own, especially Allen Robinson, you've suffered through it for weeks, for borderline half the season now. of just no production, nothing from this dude. And I get it. It's frustrating. For me personally, I'm holding him for one more week. And I mean one. And that is only because the trade deadline is so close. And I'm holding him for the hope and the prayer that maybe he gets traded. Because he was franchise tagged, he's probably not going to be back with the Bears after this season. Maybe they dump him early. Probably not. But if you've suffered with him this long, he's worth the one more week, in my opinion, that maybe he can return value for you if he goes somewhere. Allen Robinson wants to get traded. Exactly. I mean, I have not seen any report that says that explicitly, but I don't doubt it because he didn't want to really be there to begin with, and especially now that he's having the worst season of his professional career statistically, I would understand him wanting to get traded. So, all in all, listen, is he droppable? Yes, based on performance. This past week was his last opportunity in my eyes. The Buccaneers secondary is not that good. The Bears were down 35, or they finished losing by 35, so they were playing from behind. They should have had to throw, and everything game script-wise and matchup-wise lined up in Robinson's favor, and it didn't work. So, all right, a couple more things, guys. Thank you for tuning in. I just have a couple of more little newsworthy things I want to get through, and then I will continue answering your questions. So stay patient, stand by. If you have questions about these topics, though, feel free to hit me 100%. Next, is Patrick Mahomes somehow a buy low candidate? This may be the only time in Patrick Mahomes' career ever that he's a buy low candidate in fantasy. It's well documented how bad this offense has been. It's well documented that Mahomes just put up 7 fantasy points, and yes, he left the game injured, but that low point total was pretty much solidified even before that. I think the Chiefs figure it out. To some extent, listen, I don't know if they become a powerhouse like they were. Their defense definitely has some real issues. Their offense keeps turning the ball over, but overall, Mahomes is going to finish the season as a top 3 fantasy quarterback. There's just no way around it. So if you could get him from somebody who is frustrated with him or frustrated with the Chiefs, I would say do it. Next up, Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is a guy that I have been behind since the end of last season. He's a guy that I was like, listen, I'm going into the next fantasy season. I'm going to start this dude. He's going to be my quarterback. And he is my quarterback in a couple of leagues. And he's been awesome. He's been awesome. I believe he's QB2. Crazy rushing yards. But here's the problem. And here's why he makes me nervous and why if you can maybe sell him for a different top 5 quarterback, I would try and do it. I have never seen a bigger discrepancy between real-life quarterback play and fantasy performance. Jalen Hurts is not a good quarterback. And if you watch Eagles games, it shows. There is a real chance that Jalen Hurts gets benched at some point. Now, will he be benched for the rest of the season at any point? Probably not. Their only other option is Gardner Minshew. They just traded away Joe Flacco to the Jets. And even if Joe Flacco was still there, I still don't think I don't think he would be the option over Minshew anyway. But the Eagles, even their beat reporters are saying the Eagles there's a reasonable chance to give Minshew a shot. And why not? Maybe see if Minshew, a change of scenery, maybe it elevated his play a little bit. But as of now, they know that Jalen Hurts probably isn't their future at the position. So that's the main reason I'm nervous. Listen, if he can continue to just hold down this job, maybe it is a fully lost season for the Eagles and they don't really care who's at quarterback and they're just going to let him ride it out. Great. He'll continue to perform for fantasy, but the odds that we have a Sam Darnold situation like we did this week with Darnold getting benched because of poor performance is pretty high. It's pretty likely that happens at some point during a game. And imagine if that game is the fantasy playoffs and this guy is, he goes for his classic 4 points in the first half and you're like, whatever. Fourth quarter garbage time will come, and it may not, and it may sink your season. And maybe that's over dramatic, but that's how I feel about it. If you can parlay him into a similar scoring quarterback, even like a Matt Stafford, I would do it. He's just safer. That's just how I feel. And if nobody bites this week, maybe try it next week because Jalen's facing the Lions this week, so he very well may go off statistically this week. Next up, Deshaun Watson and Trey Lance. Why am I grouping these two together? Well, they're quarterbacks, and I want you to stash both of them. Desean, mainly just for this week, because if he doesn't get traded, he's not worth it. This is kind of the benefit of the trade deadline coming up, is that we'll get some clarity on some things. Who likes iron? Thank you for the sub, bro. But yeah, we will get some clarity on Desean's situation this week. He's either going to get traded or he's not, so he's worth the hold. He could be a potential league-winning quarterback if he ends up on the Dolphins. They have great weapons. And then Trey Lance, I mean, we all saw what Jimmy G just did. Jimmy G's performance is not inspiring confidence. Trey Lance is another guy who, based on rushing upside and coaching, I think could be a league winner. So if you have the roster spot and you are in need of a quarterback, even if you're not, I think they're both worth stashes. And finally, last thing, and then I will get to the many, many questions that I'm seeing in the chat. I appreciate all you guys. Please stay away from CJ Uzomah. I understand what he just did. I understand he had 3 catches for 91 yards and 2 touchdowns, I think or was it 2 touchdowns, 1 touchdown? I think it was 2 this week. His target share is not sustainable, guys. He's not a guy that is going to have performances like this very often. Like, it's one thing if a guy is, not seeing a ton of targets, but is at least the preferred option in the red zone or in the end zone. CJ is not. CJ is not top 20 among tight ends in end zone targets or red zone targets, and he has been starting all year. So his touchdowns are fluky. His pop-offs are fluky. He is a lot more likely to get you 0 or 1 point than he is to even get you 6 or 7. So I'm staying away from CJ Uzomah. There's better tight ends out there. I'd even prefer Robert Tunyon.